Yes, fams, be more, man. Welcome. Share sessions. So we're just gonna share a little, based on I think on the back of the last little expression. I'm sure I said I was gonna go into relationships. Don't make me no messiah, don't make me no doctor, don't make me no therapist, don't make me no whatever title you wanna attach to that. But like I say, it's just sharing insights and levels of perspectives then, and it's just accumulated vision or observations or inner wisdoms that have come from a long road. So we'll start off by saying it like this. If we're gonna discuss relationships, then yeah, we're talking about, there's an aspect to it that obviously the first thing that comes in mind is probably the relationships you have with your partners, you know, or your loved ones. That is definitely an aspect of it, but basically what I'm trying to project in this expression is that the most vital and important relationship you're ever gonna have is that one true marriage with yourself. The most important relationship you need to build first before you start externalizing anything is the relationship with self. And you gotta treat that like any other or any relationship you fantasize about or idealize about. That means you've gotta, what you put in, you will get out. So you've gotta give yourself the most love, the most under and overstanding, the most inner standing, the most care, the most attention, yeah, and really get to know yourself, and that know thyself, that ancient old concept, maxim, principle is so powerful on so many levels. It's not just that you better know yourself kind of concept that gets thrown around. There's levels to the ish, and the more you know yourself, the more you grow yourself then. And this relationship with self, I see it like it's between the different levels of you, the different dimensions of yourself, and that's incorporating your body, your mind, and the spiritual side of yourself, or however you look at this three-dimensional kind of realm that we're in, that we're experiencing. You've got to look at the physical and definitely love and cater to the physical, and also the mind. I kind of see the mind as that bridge between the higher, the more absolute side of yourself, that God side of yourself, and this physical 3D duality experience. And so the mind is key, man, and the mind is important, and the way you kind of nurture the mind and the way that mind is grown and the way the mind is programmed, to use a term that we can probably identify with in this day and age, the way the mind is programmed will definitely determine or be a big factor in the relationship that's formed in that holy trinity, that real holy trinity, that higher self, that kind of lower self, which is the lowest density, the physical, and definitely the mental self. You know, the universe is mental. It's where creation, imagination and creation takes place. And that's no more true than it is within each and every body, each and every one. You project from the mind. Your mind is basically, it orchestrates your reality. Yeah, so it's a simple change of the mind can change the world around you. It just change the reality you're living in. So that relationship with yourself then becomes, well, we can put it like this: every single relationship you have outside of yourself is merely just an externalization, a reflection of the relationship you have with yourself. So the relationship you have with food will definitely sway or definitely shift the level of the kind of vibration or the frequency you discover within yourself, with the light or the energy or the force that is flowing within you, and it will definitely heighten your senses You know, the way you perceive things, the way you smell and touch and read life and your world around you. Food is definitely an inducer that I testify and millions can and do, and we're going way back to right now, present. So everything outside of this body and outside of your mind is definitely just a reflection or an externalization of the relationship you hold with yourself that is true to yourself. And we can, on a nutritional platform, then the relationship you have with food is definitely, again, I'll say, a vital component. It can be key. It's not the only way, but it's definitely a vital way. And just even that learning experience, learning what food is, the way food is, the relationship food has with the sun, the star, how all food, all vegetation on the planet, all berry, all herbs, all fruit, it's all programmed with the light rays of the sun. Nothing grows without the sun, we know this, so we don't actually grow without the sun. We get deficient in what they call vitamin D's, and basically it's just another form of life force energy. And the repercussions of that lack of them rays is, can be quite tragic in some circumstances. So and I feel like, especially in some parts of the world, eating the food that is produced by the sun, that it contains the light of the sun, is definitely a way to get that sun energy inside of us. The food is a direct communication. I think who brought that down? Well, Phil Valentine, I think, long time ago. And the way your body starts, your senses start to kick in, even at the thought of food. We've got a direct relationship with food, and that is a divine relationship. It's a cosmic relationship. And light, when we go back to the sun, the programming of the food, light is synonymous with wisdom and knowledge. You see, the sun programs the food with the knowledge, with the instruction, and based on the seed's genetic code, that light fuels that genetic coding. Every seed, every fruit, every plant, every vegetation also has a lineage, as an ancestry. So that them light waves instruct the food, and they will instruct a mango to grow as a mango and don't get confused and grow as a banana. You know what I mean? All this genetically modifying madness, what they're going on with. Again, it's just a manipulation of the food, because this food has a direct communication and relationship with our genetics. So they're carrying the light. Yeah, when we ingest it and eat it, our body metabolizes the light, or energy, or force, or vitamins, or nutrients, whatever you want to call it. Yeah, but let's get beyond the physical aspect of it and really dig deep to what's going on with the food and with our body. Our bodies, so this food is carrying these instructions, these codes to our cells, to our genetics. Our cells absorb it, take it in all the biological, scientific ways they explain in the physical realm. Yeah, and basically those instructions then will determine how that cell grows and replicates. Cell replication is growth. Yeah, that's life. When you've got genetically modified food or processed food, or food that is not of the sun, of earth, of nature, in whatever form there's a million ways these forms of food come in these days. I don't even like to classify it as food, but we're all subjected to it. This does not, if it doesn't contain the light, that natural, orderly communication, and we're eating it, then the instructions it takes to the cells is dead information. It's not chatting a language that the cell understands. So therefore, when the food was knocking on the door, like, yo, can we come in the cell? And the cell's like, I don't even know you, who sent you? And they're like, yo, well, we've got some agents with us and we're breaking through your cell. So when they infiltrate the cell and it don't carry the right information, or an information that is totally alien to the cell goes into self-destructive mode, because it works for the better of the greater good, the body, the whole body. It's just that service to the body. So it's going to try and denature itself, or this processed food is going to try and infiltrate the cell with its alien instruction, and then it's going to try a replication process which is going to be mutated because it doesn't have the correct instructions to replicate properly. So now this mutation or this, you know, and the cells triggers other cells to say, yo, there's invaders, there's aliens, they're trying to get in, let's self-destruct. So enough cells are trying to self-destruct and pop off to save the greater good, the body. Yeah, and now this erratic cell growth and this mutational cell growth, what comes from this unnatural, processed, chemicalized, drugized food, processed food, is cancer. This extrapolation and erratic cell growth and mutation of cells growing in all different parts of the body and organs, whatever part of the body is processing or metabolizing these dead, non-divine instruction carrying foods. This is where the cancer spurts and contains, and it's all over actually. It just depends how far gone it is before we identify it as a problem and identify it as a cancer or all other forms of diseases. So actually knowing the food is really important, and knowing what it is, the relationship we have with food will determine the relationship our body has with our well-beingness then. So it's important that nutritionally we know what foods to deal with, and more importantly what foods not to deal with. Yeah, and basically the rule, the golden rule is, if it's not of nature, if it hasn't grown, you know, by natural process, then you can bet that it's not good for you. It's either giving you, it's taking your life force away. Do you know what I mean? It's requiring, it's taxing your body of certain energies, because your body's just gonna try and get rid of it. You know what I mean? But it ain't gonna be able to get rid of it all. So the relationship with food is key, man. And like I say, that's going to induce a certain energy flow, a certain life force. It's going to detox, it's going to cleanse, it's going to restore the rays, restoration. It's going to restore the rays through a charge, an electrical magnetic charge. And you're going to start waking up more, coming into yourself more, knowing yourself more, being more aware of yourself, just simply through the food and the water. And the other liquidized substances that we take in. Basically, this relationship that you have with yourself, then this is what loving yourself really is, just on a nutritional level. Yeah. Then also being aware of your mental self. You know what? Again, the people, the energies, the minds you keep around you. If they're not feeding your mind to grow, or if they're not encouraging you or motivating you to grow, but instead they've got energy that pulls, yeah, energy out of you, that drains you of energy, then you're not feeding yourself properly. You know, we consume on so many different levels, and again, this is taxing. But if our bodies aren't equipped and strong, and our minds aren't, if we ain't got this strong chi, life force, energy inside of us, then we kind of get submissive to these presences and these energies and these minds and these people around us, and we kind of just keep going with the flow, but just cussing them out all the time. Do you know what I mean? And lowering our own vibrational field, which is not loving yourself. You're not developing, you're not growing as a body. You're actually draining and aging, because aging is just a slow dying process. Do you know what I mean? Which all can be reversed. So definitely loving yourself. And also what you're going to find is you will start to accumulate and cultivate this inner love for yourself. And the more you cultivate this inner love for yourself, this confidence, this security, this sense of well-being and being self-efficient in terms of energy and love, you won't go outside of yourself looking for it. Because we're moving on to the relationships that we have with partners. You know, through my experience, I think everyone's looking, when you're single, everyone's looking to be in a relationship. Everyone's, you know, it's the thing, if you're not with someone, it's like, oh, you're not with anyone, well, how long have you been single, and what's the problem? And you know, and even at us as individuals, we kind of look at ourselves and start judging and being hard on ourselves, and automatically we want to get into a relationship because we think that's where happiness lies. But like I used to tell my sisters years and years ago, man, if you go outside of yourself looking for happiness, what you're handing whoever it is who you think is going to supply, you're handing them the rope to hang you with. Because if you depend on someone coming into your life to provide your happiness, then you know that it might be a relationship for a certain period of time. But what happens when they leave? They leave with your happiness, because that wasn't your happiness. that was just them. That was just an illusional happiness. That isn't real happiness. And then what happens is if someone comes into your life, whether you're a man or a woman, and you decide that this person makes you happy to a certain degree, because it's all right for people to enrich each other, but if you put your dependency on this partner making you happy mentally and spiritually, then it kind of, with that then you develop fears of losing this certain somebody. And this is where insecurities come from, and jealousies and fears, and you'll start projecting certain traits and personality aspects that kind of, in a sense, start pushing that person away. Do you know what I mean? But then your fears and insecurity, you're trying to hold on to them, but you're trying to hold on to happiness because you haven't cultivated your own. Do you know what I mean? So it's definitely worth, as individuals, us getting back and just, if you have to take a year or 5 or 6 years out to discover who you really are and discover ways in which you can just formulate and cultivate your own happiness and richness, then that's what we got to do for the sake of the greater good. And it's worth it. And also, this relationship you have with yourself, then you need to be your own best friend. You need to be your own best company. Do you know what I mean? You need to be totally comfortable with yourself in a dark room, in a silent room for 40 days and 40 nights if it takes it. Do you know what I mean? If you find yourself, if you're one of these people that when you're on your own, you gotta have the TV on in the background, this is what we all grow up with, TV's gotta be on in the background, just background noise. Yeah, or you've got to be on the phone to somebody, you've got to be stimulated by something outside of yourself, then that's a big sign to really check in and find out what it takes to ground yourself and not require or depend on external stimulation. Yeah, they're big signs that, the relationship with yourself is kind of in tatters, it's on the rocks. It's every aspect of you is trying to divorce itself and get with somebody else. You see what I'm saying? So, when you are able to be alone and just be totally so dependent and comfortable and happy with yourself, single, or even if it's just on a weekend or after work, without having to go out, make that phone call or jump on that website or not have a TV or a radio on, and you can just really go in and uncover and be totally comfortable with yourself, then I'd say that's a sign that you're on the right path. And when you're not requiring or depending or lusting after this relationship, trying to bring it in, that's another great sign. And that means that really you're probably ready for a relationship because you probably know yourself. And if you don't know yourself to that degree, to that unconditional, comfortable degree, then how can you be yourself? Then how can you attract the right person? How can you bring that right person into your life? Because if you ain't the full shilling yet, and someone comes into your life, and you're not who you are supposed to be in according to your truth and your soul and your mind, then why do we act so surprised when a few months or years down the line things aren't working out and we grow apart because we'd never grown in the first place? We really have to know ourselves in this time if we want to be in the right relationship. Because all too often we're getting in relationships and depending on the other person to change their ways. For us, but you can't expect no one to change for you, or we shouldn't be requiring that, not even in the slightest. They will change if they feel like changing because maybe your energy evokes a certain shift in their consciousness or pattern, but we can't determine that, we can't require that of them. Because if someone changes for you, then they're they're not being themselves. It's an act. But what happens when, they get bored of the act? They're changing back to their old self? No, they're just changing back to themselves or the place they was in when they met you. And now the relationship's on the rocks. Now they're going, now it's all tatters and you're falling apart and, death and it's a phone calls and it's the eating and everything's going downhill. Because we didn't build the foundation properly. The house was always going to fall, or it's going to be a rocky relationship and some people just get complacent and happy just to trot along in these half-dead relationships. But because it looks good and it looks right from the outside of us, and that's all we're really thinking about, pleasing the outside of us and how does it look from the outside without, going inside and looking out. So definitely it's just like this, the relationships, man, it's deeper than just partners, and also it's going to reflect the relationships you have with your colleagues, with your associates, the friends you're bringing into your life, the way they see you. When someone sees a very strong, rock, firm standing being, don't have to be stubborn, but when they see that, they're going to be very mindful of the present they're in, which means that they're going to be mindful of the way they treat, the way they come at this person. Do you know what I mean? And that's how you attract the right kind of energies and ward off the wrong kind of energies around you. So definitely, man, it's just like it's just a little share session on relationships, food for thought. There's a whole extended workshop, 90-minute built on it, where we can go in greater and go into more detail and more examples on much other levels, but I just felt like it was necessary to share it. It's just food for thought, or it's just gentle reminders, or it's just insights to those, and there's definitely higher levels to it, but we don't want to start pushing the bar out too far. So yeah, man, it's all love. Just be great and be more with yourself, man, and just let's check in from time to time. Love.